Hello listeners, welcome to NRA Summit. This is your host Ravni. Today we are hosting the story and efforts of a social, secular, non-profit organization, Manavata. Mr. Srini Alluri, then a young techpreneur inspired by the preachings of Swami Vivekananda, founded Manavata in 1991 in Lolla, East Godavari district of Andhra Pradesh. Since then it has expanded its services in India, UK, US, and recently started a chapter in Austria, Europe. Manavata has spread its work in four most essential pillars of human lives. They have a number of programs under the umbrellas of health, education, environment, and helping the needy. Manavata's 8,000 volunteers belong to 57 chapters across the globe and are constantly involved in activities such as childcare, blood donation, plantation, natural farming projects, helping the needy, value-based education, healthy living workshops, and self-employment training. In essence, Manavata is a cluster of NGOs and social organizations running innumerable initiatives to create a healthy, happy, and harmonious world. I take great pleasure in welcoming Mr. Srini Alluri, founder of Manavata, and Mr. Mukund Gorla, president of US Chapter Manavata, to the NRI Summit studio today. Welcome you, Mukund and Srini.
Thank you, Shravani.
Thank you, Shravani.
And NRI Summit also congratulates Manavata for being awarded a special consultative status by United Nations ECOSOC. So, Srini and Mukund, since we started off with the United Nations ECOSOC special consultative status, what is the status and what was the criteria for you to get there? And as a part of that consultative status, will you be supporting other organizations? How does it work?
Yes, the United Nations has economic and social development. So they have a kind of a forum which is all the NGOs can participate. So ECOSOC basically the worldwide all the United Nations member countries. They have different organizations, large organizations to the medium organizations. They have spread across the continent. So basically, these the membership and the consultative status applies to those organizations who have been working in consistently for the sustainable development and climate change, health, education, environment, and different social development activities in a large to medium scale. So basically, as part of that, because Manavata has been doing almost 21 years service in different areas, health, education, environment, and so with that the background, whatever the work we have done, we could get the consultative status by applying to the United Nations.
Okay, so this consultative status, under that, will you be helping other organizations or will you be a consulting for other social organizations which they want to build on in the same areas like education, health, climate change?
Yeah, definitely, because this the idea of this the forum is basically to share the methods and the services which the Manavata is doing with worldwide organizations, and similarly learn from other organizations and the best practices and the best approach to tackle the today's problems. So the very first time I realized we should raise our voice to the international forum when the Copenhagen the summit failed to take certain commitments from the different countries on the climate change. So that's where I thought, okay, we should raise our voice and get the environment friendly, policies for every country, and so that's where I started this work. So, but it took 1.5 years for us to get this consultative status.
Oh, that's very nice. So, as a part of this consultative status, will you remain in the status for long, or it's a year-on-year basis?
This is we are going to remain long. Yes.
Okay. That's real goodness. So all the listeners, whoever is interested and would like to get advice or seek the best practices can contact Manavata on how to run a social program, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll take one step back. And Srini, can you please tell us your inspiration in forming Manavata back in 1991?
Yeah, sure. Basically, when I was a student, especially when I was studying my high school age, I was so surprised to see youth who are very irresponsible. So, and other side, the people who are suffering and not getting any help from any people. So that time I really moved and thought we should do something. So that is where I have really started thinking and volunteering myself into different social programs and see what we can do from our side. So that I used to do myself, whatever the help I could do in my school days. So that even that moment I should say it is because of my family background and the mother's motivation towards and the good things, and even my parents are very committed to do help people around, and they're very simple living. All that inspired me, and especially studying the good things like Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana, Mahabharata, these kind of things in the early days of my childhood, first 10 years. All those has created a lot of impact on my mind and good thoughts. So those good thoughts helped me to think in a positive direction. What can I do? So that positive thinking moved me in a right direction to initiate, at least to participate in the voluntary work initial days. And then after 5 years, 6 years of volunteering, I realized this is required to motivate and a group, all the young people together with organization. So that's where I started in 1991 as a youth association in my village to transform to my village itself initially to start with. And then from there, the initial strength of 15 volunteers. So that itself took me a year to group up the 15 volunteers and get them into the social work. So that is where I started my journey, basically the Manavata, and started doing the activities in terms of health, education, environment, especially sorting out small problems like the water issues and the sanitation issues. There are several issues in the village, so we sorted a number of things. And in first 3 years itself, a lot of water points we kept in the village. We could do with Ramadan, like we used to volunteer and do ourselves the work, and similarly volunteered and constructed a bus shelter, small bus shelter in our village. All that, whatever the work we could do from the education perspective, on the social development perspective. And we did a lot of work with our school, where I was studied in my primary school, in government primary school. So motivated all the children to study well, and used to regularly volunteer and teach them. So that kind of on the education side, health side, environment side, we did whatever the work we can do for the village development. And first 6 years I could see a lot of development in youth, particularly wherever I saw the wrong path for the young generations, going to the movies, spending their time in wrong ways, and getting into wrong habits like smoking, drinking, and gambling, these kind of things. So those things, in 6 years I could see a lot of change in the youth, and people have slowly moved to the right direction and started helping in different things. So that's how the village level transformation we could focus in first 6 years.
So Srini, it was the first 6 experimental years that showed the transformation in your village, and from there on you took off Manavata, right?
Yes.
And you have different chapters in different countries. So Mukund, this is the question for you. How did you get associated with Manavata to open the US chapter?
Okay. So way back in 2004, I was working for an IT company in Hyderabad, India. And at that time, my project manager, she was actually part of Manavata. And on one birthday party, I was actually sharing my thoughts with my manager, saying, I was really interested in doing some kind of service towards the society and bring a change in this. She was just casually telling that she was associated with an organization called Manavata, and she was actually talking about Srini and all the good work that he's doing. So I was just casually listening to her and said I will meet him once. So after a few days, I got an opportunity to meet Srini, and slowly I was able to understand all the good work that he and his team at the time was doing. And slowly I was inspired by all the kinds of projects going on at that time. Since long time I have been thinking about doing something, but I was clueless about where to start, what to start from. I know I have the interest to do something, but I don't see a good platform where I can execute all the things in my mind. That's when my manager introduced me to Srini and his team. I started attending their different projects like blood donation camps and distribution of clothes to poor and needy, all those stuff. I slowly started involving myself, and then eventually I totally understood that as we keep growing bigger and bigger, definitely there is a scope for this Manavata to bring a change in the world. So I started involving myself more actively from 2005, and after a couple of years I actually got a chance to move from Hyderabad to Bangalore in India. And after going to Bangalore, again, there was a small chapter there. And then I started slowly involving myself in the Bangalore chapter. And I played some role in building up few people, some of my friends and colleagues. And then later on, I came to USA way back in 2008. And at that time, I saw different chapters here as well. So wherever I go, I started seeing a chapter which was already there. And on top of it, I started involving more actively into each of these chapters.
That's very nice. So that's real inspiration. Srini gave us that first 6 years of transformation story, and you giving us the US chapter story. So what are the most active programs of Manavata? Can you share 1 or 2 success stories that you have seen in any of the chapters for our NRSMI listeners?
Okay, so I'll let Srini tell about the global things, and I can later answer the questions from the US chapter perspective. Okay?
Yeah, sure. So from the base level, of course, the sustainable rural development is one of the things, as I explained you, how the village transformation can be done from the village level by motivating and bringing the change at grassroots level. So I started a project called SRDP, which is basically replicating whatever the change we have done there. So the similar thing, I wanted to make the change sustainable development in health, education, and the environment, and even agriculture. Particularly, we are promoting the natural farming. So SRDP is one of the important projects for us. So that is the one, and the other one is the Manavata Ashram, which is to support basically the orphan children and disabled people, support the needy basically. So we adopt orphan children into different ashrams centers we have in particularly in Andhra Pradesh. So in actual 2005 I started the Manavata first ashram orphan home in my village. So that from that time onwards, and slowly we started supporting adopting number of children, and that has given a good support, and whoever studying in there, learning good character and building the personality apart from their continuing their education and getting the livelihood. So what we are trying to do is building them as a responsible citizens, and making them as a leaders of tomorrow to lead this change and represent the Manavata mission, which is creating the healthy, happy, and harmonious world.
Oh, that's very fantastic. You're actually tapping them young to become the right leaders of tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. Youth transformation is one of the important aspects for us. That is the reason even when I started Manota, my focus is in youth because that is where the energy is. That energy, if they can utilize for the social development, I'm sure the world will be definitely a better place to live. And once they started working in the childhood days and the young age, definitely they will keep up throughout their life, and they will do something or the other for the purpose of the social development.
Okay, so I see this Manavata ashram or setting up orphanages, for that matter any social work, is money intensive. It requires lots of funds. So how do you manage with your fundraising program, and how do you keep up the transparency with the funds?
So far, from the beginning in 2001 onwards, where I was a student, I never faced a problem with funds, and we have not even focused on more on the fundraising. We focused more on the execution of the program, and that automatically moved the people who wanted to contribute. They come forward and contribute. But at the same time, when I was struggling to collect some money for some of the projects like bus shelter and things like that in the beginning stage, so that was a big bit difficult to convince some of the people, etc. But later stage I realized everyone must contribute, so we started contributing 2 rupees every person initially, so that they become so that all the members they started contributing themselves, and when I started earning, I contribute myself, and everyone will be an example in contributing the time and contributing the money. So that's where we don't worry about focusing on the fundraising, but we focus more on the execution at the ground level and grassroots level change from everyone basically.
Okay, so since Manavata is like a group of 8,000 volunteers, how do you bring in governance? So you have local teams and then country level teams. What is the operating model of Manavata?
This is basically each chapter, the regional chapter will have their own executive committee, and the executive committee will consist of minimum of 11 members body. So those executive members, they will lead the local regional operations, whatever operations they can do in the streams of Manavata, health, education and environment. They will take up those activities. Some people they take up occasionally, some people regular, so that way they continue executing the programs. And some of the chapters they help in encouraging people in towards health and eco-friendly lifestyle, etc. And some chapters they do fundraising activities and fun activities for the children. And some chapters they focus on the education side, value-based education, particularly for grouping up the children and motivating towards the human values and cultivating the values as part of their education and the learning. So yeah, that way each chapter is independent by its own, but we share the ideas together, and we contribute time and money also together basically.
Okay, so you mean few chapters are particularly responsible for fundraising and all the funds are distributed across the chapters, and each chapter is independent of taking their own initiatives and working on those initiatives. So every chapter is on by its own, but only thing is, on a frequent basis you all meet together and discuss on which initiatives have to take priority. Is that how you work?
Correct. So we regularly have a conference calls across the chapters, and also we have a annual meetings for each chapter level, country chapter level, and sub chapters within the country. They come together and share their ideas and share their activities, whatever they have done. So we review all that, and country level budget and everything will be planned country level, but the mostly activities whatever they feel okay, these are the priorities this year, and all these good ideas will be taken back into their regional chapters, and they start implementing those ideas.
Okay. So, Mukund and Srini, either of you, you both reside in a different country, but you are trying to implement lots of programs back in India. So, do you see any challenge of being in a different geography?
Yes, in fact, the geography wise, of course, when you are executing some programs and motivating volunteers, and we are just talking over phone, it is a bit of a challenge. But I do spend directly 3 to 4 months in India, and try to make sure that my presence also there in each of the projects, and wherever possible. And even in expanding, we spend a lot of time in the awareness programs, connecting right people across, and that is very important in the ground level things, and the inspiration, spreading the inspiration. So that's how we especially I took up the cycling challenges. Like before last year, I did London to Delhi cycling. So that is a great motivation for a number of young people, and they recognized how selfless service is important and the humanity is important. The cycling program name itself is a cycling for humanity. So that kind of an inspiration motivates the ground level volunteers, and connect right people and right mindsets, so that we don't need to worry about micromanagement at the ground level.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
I can actually share a couple of things with respect to how it is working for the US chapter.
yes.
Basically, in USA, we have almost 4 chapters right now spread across East Coast and West Coast. We have one in Virginia, one in Boston, one in California, and one in Seattle. So the way we do is we have a lot of challenges with respect to the timings, right? Even within the USA, you have 3 to 4 different time zones. So, but the way we do overcome these time differences is sometimes we do share the updates for the email, and once in a month we do have a conference call which is suitable for all the chapters across USA, where one representative from the US chapter will get to know all the updates happening across all the chapters, outside of US, and they share the updates with the rest of the chapters within the USA. So the information exchange among the chapters will happen once in a while through different modes, such as through emails or conference calls or social networking sites. So it's just a matter of a bit of delay, but overall every person will be actively involved in getting the updates from across all the chapters, and they will be sharing the updates with all the chapters within the USA. So in that way, it's actually working out really well, because not one person will do that all the time. Every person will keep rotating, getting the updates. So everyone will be equally participating in all the programs.
Oh, that's nice. And Cycling for Humanity is a very interesting program, because I have seen that you have cycled from London to Delhi, Washington DC to Boston, Udaipur to Mumbai. So Mukund, were you part of this Washington DC to Boston Cycling for Humanity?
No. The volunteers in the Virginia and Boston, they have been part of it, and we did a bit of in the Bay Area. That's where I've been part of. But mostly the volunteers in the Boston and Virginia, they took part in the cycling there.
Okay. So as a part of cycling, London to Delhi is an amazing thing. So Srini, how did you manage traveling from London to Delhi over the bicycle, and what was the group?
It is initially we started around 30 people from London, but most of the people, they came a couple of days, and some people they joined up to 500 kilometers, and some people joined up to 1800 kilometers, which is Austria, Vienna. And yeah, so that is that. From there, I think most of the time I'm alone. I cycle myself alone. But that is 11,350 kilometers cycle ride. So yeah, it is an amazing experience. But I never felt I'm doing cycling alone. Just keep going and focusing on my target and meeting number of people and spreading the message of humanity through different countries.
Okay. So is it part of that London to Delhi trip you encountered on finding a chapter in Austria?
No, before that, we had few Europe activities, particularly on the healthy living workshops. So that is where Austria people, they showed interest in initiating a chapter in Austria. So that's where we started interacting with a group of people, and we did a program there as healthy living. So that's where the like-minded people joined together, and we discussed about the plan, jotted, and they started taking the initiatives from there.
Okay. So this is for all our listeners. Apart from Sustainable Rural Development Program, Cycling for Humanity, there are lots of other programs that Manavata does, and one such program is blood donation. So dear listeners, Manavata also maintains a blood donors database. Manavata can be your rescue in times of need. If you think you need some kind of a blood, just go and search on Manavata's website. And if you're all interested in blood donation, please register on Manavata's website. So back to our Sustainable Rural Development Program, Srini. Do you see that you're complementing village panchayats activity, the local governance, or do they see as interruption to their activities? Do you find resistance from them?
It is definitely complementing their activities, and wherever the program, they definitely, the village, they support. The problem in the village, as everyone knows, taking the initiatives and having a strong leadership in building the sustainable model of the development. So that kind of leadership we are trying to build as part of this SRDP program, and particularly in each streams of work, working along with the panchayat, even the using the common premises like panchayat premises for some of the things, like setting up a library and the grouping of the people, things like that. So the common premises, even plantation drives, they support well in terms of providing the basic needs. So it is mostly how we do is we encourage villagers to be part of it and motivate them to take part. It is not that someone like externally going and doing it, but it is something within the village. They feel that okay, they are doing their development. So when they have the self-sustainable, that kind of a self-confidence, they definitely take it forward. If someone is pushing, obviously it is difficult to maintain the sustainability.
Okay. So as a part of Sustainable Rural Development Program, you do adopt villages, right?
Correct.
So what is the criteria to pick and choose a village? Let's say if I have a village in mind which requires your help, I go and recommend it to you. Do you pick it, or do you have your own set of criterion?
So yeah, definitely if someone wanted to develop their own village, and that is the main criteria. So whoever taking the initiative, so that those that person particularly will be a lead and a key coordinator to coordinate with their villages, because as a own village, so he has understanding, or he or she has understanding of their village, and at least they can connect the right people into the program and start implementing the things. and it makes lot easier when they have a local presence and local leaders within the village.
Okay. So all the listeners, if you think you are interested in developing or contributing for your village, please do remember and reach out to Manavata, and they have the best practices to share. They have a model to work with you. Okay. So, Mukund, I see that recently in Bay Area, Santa Clara, you did some healthy awareness program. Can you please expand on that?
Sure. This basically healthy living event is intended for all the audience who want to focus on their health and what are the things that they need to know in order to maintain a good health for a long period of time, which is sustainable. So as part of the healthy living, we do take the internal sessions by using the experience that we have gained over the past few years, by using all the information that we have collected over the past many years, the best practices. So what we do is we also give them training about how to do the yoga, the meditation, and what are the different ideal healthy schedule, the daily schedule, what are the good habits, what are the good food that they need to cultivate and all. So we also distribute some kind of flyers, the kind of pamphlets which they can go back home and go through it, and we encourage them to start in small steps. They need not have to transform all the whole at the single step. So we encourage them to take one step at a time, see the change slowly, and then take the help of our Manavata volunteers to get more information or to expand these healthy living sessions in the various cities. Apart from that, not only our internal volunteers, but if we do come across some people like doctors or some kind of professors or something from abroad who are coming here on a visit, who can have their own kind of healthy living sessions, we actually conduct events, invite them as speakers for those events, and then share their information with all our volunteers and all the participants in the local cities. The example of this is recently in the month of February, there was one speaker by name Dr. Jayanti Senthil who came all the way from India to here. She's taking sessions in different parts of the U.S. So we invited her to take a session on wellness session where she was talking about the different prospects of using the breathing techniques and all deep breathing techniques. So we had conducted it in Fremont City in California and also in Santa Clara. Almost close to 100 people have benefited from this event, and the response has been really good. And with this response, we do encourage even other speakers from different parts of the world. Whenever they get an opportunity to come here, we do arrange sessions, and we keep expanding this information to all the people, so that we are trying our best to maximize the benefit of their presence to as many people as possible. So, and it not only happens in California, we also encourage the people from other states in U.S., like in Boston, Virginia, Texas, and Seattle. We do ask the volunteers to conduct the events locally and share the information that we have been collecting over the past few years.
Oh, okay. So, do you have any annual events that happen across the U.S.?
Yes, we do have have the annual events happening every year towards the end of the year, because October 19th is when we normally do the celebration, because October 19th happens to be the Manavata Formation Day, the day on which Srini founded Manavata. So we normally tend to celebrate all the annual events in the month of October, depending on when it is possible. And during the annual events, we invite all the donors, all the members, all the volunteers, and whoever has participated in Manavata events to come and attend that event. So in that particular annual day event, what we normally do is we'll just go through all the events that are happening across Manavata, the accomplishments made by all the chapters across the world, and especially what is the contribution of U.S. chapter towards the Manavata mission, and what are the funds that we have raised throughout the year, and how did we spend those funds, to which all projects we have spent, and all those things we share with all the members, and we take the ideas from them on how to do the planning for the next year, the coming year, and we chalk out the list of top ideas that we wanted to implement, and we'll take out the top few ideas and start planning for the next year.
Oh, so Manavata's calendar typically runs from October to September.
Yeah, like this.
Okay, so we'll move back to the Cycling for Humanity program, which is really interesting. So London to Delhi, Washington DC to Boston, Udaipur to Mumbai. Are you planning a subsequent one, Mukund or Srini?
Yes, this is a ongoing program, Shravani. Basically, how we plan is every year choose certain areas and make that as a event as a awareness program, particularly promoting the 3H mission. So, as we believe strongly, the individual change is a key for the social development. So that is where for individual transformation and making the charity at home to the people who they can start their service at from the home itself by transforming themselves, being leading a simple lifestyle, eco-friendly lifestyle, and also healthy healthy way. So that is the key message we are trying to spread across through Cycling for Humanity program. So yeah, every year definitely this keeps going in different regions, touching different areas to inspire people towards the humanitarian work and the 3H mission.
And also we do the charity works in the USA, and the charity work is where we actually invite all people of all ages, right from the kids to youth and the adults and even the old people, to come and walk with us for a few miles and pass on this message to all the folks who are attending it. So the beauty of charity work is for those, because people of all ages may or may not be able to do cycling, but whoever wants to just walking is something which people of any age can just do it like that. So in few cases we do the charity works. A couple of years we did the charity work in Mountain View, California, and it was a great success. Many people have enthusiastically joined with their families, and we all wore the Manavata t-shirts which passes on the 3H mission. And we were able to pass on the message to many more people through those participants, and it was a great experience, and people wanted to do many more like that, and we are planning one this year as well.
Okay, that's nice. So all the walking and cycling enthusiasts out there, so please keep watching on Manavata's website for the next cycling and walking event. So, and the 3H mission that Mukund and Srini are referring to is to create a healthy, happy and harmonious world. That's the 3H mission of Manavata. And I also see that there is an IT services program as part of Manavata. Can Mukund or Srini expand over that?
Yes. In fact, some of the organizations they face problem in especially getting the technology into their services, taking the support. And some organizations they spend a lot of time on the lot of rework. So what we came up with a framework for all the NGOs where they can manage their members, their services, their content, their events, their project, all of them on even their contributions, donations, all that into one place. And they can easily just build their website, and they get their own homepage and get all this information into their own homepage. So it is easy, and all the framework, whatever the tools available, they can use for their purpose, basically to run their organization.
So you create and develop a website for all the social organizations.
That framework, yes, yeah. The framework is already in place. They can straight away use it. That is one thing. And second one is that takes maybe few minutes to sign up and then get their own home page and keep managing their services. That is quick and easy. But apart from that, if some organizations, for example, one of the organization in Chennai, they asked us for managing, and that's a like a mentally disordered people home. So they asked us to develop a software to manage their operations internally, managing patients and things like that. So yeah, we did some development work for them, and so those kind of things, providing services with the help of the volunteers. And because in Manavata, number of people are with the IT background, and we volunteer for for the development and taking it forward.
Okay. So, Srini, the organization that you're referring to in Chennai is the Banyan organization, which is supporting the mentally ill people?
Correct.
Okay. So, for NRI Samay listeners, Banyan is an organization. Vandana and Vaishnavi from Banyan have already been on NRI Samay. So, for them, this is a familiar organization. So, Manavata, we thank you for helping Banyan on behalf of NRI Samay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So, you have got that status, a consultative status from United Nations. That means you are recognized at the United Nations level. So do you see any support that you get from United Nations Environmental Program or United Nations Development Program?
So far what we see is the sharing information and especially sharing the experiences from different countries, and collaboratively working with different organizations who have already got the consultative status. Around 3,000 organizations have got consultative status in United Nations across the globe. So it is an opportunity to connect all those organizations. And recently I along with some of the Manavata volunteers in New York, so we went to a conference for the for the disabled people, helping the disabled people and accessibility and the technology. So that is where we thought, okay, this is a lot of learning to be done, and it's a good learning and sharing experiences. Similarly, in every part of the service, either health, education, or environment, more than funding the projects, I see a lot of learnings to be done. At the same time, we also can share, because we wanted to see the better world. So proven projects, whatever we have been doing, so those projects can be shared on the international platform, where other organizations can adopt those practices. And this is, instead of reworking and reinventing the wheels, they can take up some of the proven techniques, basically.
Oh, so that's a perfect sharing platform because of that consultative status.
Correct.
Okay. So a question apart from not just for Manavata in specific, but this is a very question in terms of government welfare schemes and the social organizations. There are so many government welfare schemes that are being implemented year over year, and there are so many social organizations trying to build and work in harmony with the government organizations. But we still see a gap where people have inequality across the society. So what do you think should we do to bridge this?
Okay, so the most important thing here is the whatever the program, either it is the government program or an NGO program, so we should be careful in choosing the beneficiary, and we always try to focus on empowering people, and the empowerment should be our main goal, and try to avoid giveaway programs. Even from government side also, they should focus more on empowering people and making the sustainable growth by themselves, rather than the giveaway programs.
Okay, so you mean to say don't give a fish to a man, but tell him how to, teach him how to fish.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I think Mukund can answer this question. Usually people in India perceive West western part of the world as more advanced, sophisticated, highly healthy, and all sorts of good things. And Srini, you being going around the world on cycling, do you think that it's the same picture that we have of the West, or it's very different from what what as Indians we perceive the rest of the world?
Okay, so I can answer one part of the question, and probably I'll leave the rest to Srini. Especially in the Western culture here, the one thing that we noticed is people know many things about the different healthy habits, or what is the best way of leading the life, what are the things we need to give our children, how do we bring up and all. But people were actually not reluctant. They're not really focused on changing their habits in the first place. They were just being, all the time busy in their professional lives, and they really don't really, they need some push. They need some kind of people to push them to say, okay, do this one thing at a time, or slowly transform yourself rather than and all. Some kind of inspiration has to be there for the folks here in order to bring a change among themselves. They themselves, though they're aware of these different facts, they're really not putting it into action. So Manavata here, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to create not only awareness among them, but we also keep on following with them, encouraging them, saying them, these are the list of things you do, but try to do one thing at a time. Slowly change yourself from within your family. Unless you inculcate good habits into your children and make them grow into responsible citizens, there is nothing that you're really giving apart. If you just keep buying something which they really need, that doesn't really make your children really a lot helpful. You should inculcate morals, ethics, the right kind of value-based education, the right kind of healthy diet, so that they, as they grow up, they keep cultivating those habits for a period of time. Because it's most important that you have to keep changing one thing slowly and gradually. Only then it becomes sustainable. We are trying our best to, through various programs, through various events and sessions, to slowly make them involved in this change. And it just doesn't happen in one day or 2 days. It takes sometimes weeks, months, or years. But we are taking right steps to make them understand that whatever they know, please implement in one way or the other, slowly in gradual steps. So that kind of push is what we are trying to do here.
Okay.
Yeah. So compared to the other countries, what you said rightly, that's the question. I like that question because particularly there's a huge gap, between rich and poor, either personal or the country level. So in terms of understanding and the education, though the people are educated, you can see a lot of people, they just behave very selfish, and they're not even bothered about what's happening tomorrow and what's happening to the others because of our actions. So that kind of irresponsibility is growing beyond in especially developing or developed countries. So basically we need to bring back that kind of a social responsibility, particularly on the environment side. It's a lot of food wastage, huge food is wasted, and huge natural resources are wasted unnecessarily without any reason. And the other side, people are suffering, without having food. 1 billion people suffering with hunger across the globe. So this definitely need to get into the every human mind and feel that responsibility and living more responsibly. So of course, as you rightly said, it takes ages to get this message, particularly in a practical approach, to bringing that change into every human life. I'm not sure how long it will take, but that we are hoping to get that change with the motivation and the inspiration from the practical people.
Okay. So you mean to say, in the western part of the world, there is awareness, there is knowledge, there is information, but they require a catalyst to implement that change. While
Absolutely.
in parts of India and eastern part, there is lack of information and lack of resources.
Yeah, so that definitely a gap in terms of the information. You are rightly said, the information is here, but the taking that into the practice is not really happening. So that's where you need the examples there here. So the passing the information into the countries, some of the countries who are developing or underdeveloped. So that is another important aspect. Of course, the bridging this gap, I think we all can play a lot of role and using the technology in right proportion.
Okay. So I have last two questions. So the pre-final question is, can you give us in areas or villages or in terms of districts in India, wherein if people want to perceive the difference that Manavata has brought in?
So particularly we have done some of the projects in coastal Andhra Pradesh. So some villages we have adopted in East Godavari district. So that is where actually the initially Manata originated. So few villages in sustainable rural development, and we have also adopted some villages in Chittur near Madanapalli. And Khammam. So different districts we are trying to spread across. Even Hyderabad, we've got a center, Manatha Ashram, and spreading health education, all these services around Hyderabad area also. So yeah, wherever possible, we're trying to approach, particularly Andhra Pradesh. We have been doing work in long time, and in past few years, motivated volunteers, they joined hands together in different states, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Kerala, and even Punjab. They started supporting and trying to replicate these activities in their villages.
Okay. So, Mukund, in case somebody is interested in opening a chapter in other parts of the US, so what kind of support can they expect from you?
So, if anyone is interested to open a new chapter, the kind of support that they can get is we will share all the information and the experiences that what kind of projects that they can take up locally, how to set up a small group with like-minded people who are interested to do see a change in the society, and what are the steps that they need to follow in order to form a right set of team. Because just because you have members will not really help. You need people who are really motivated, who are really have passion towards this service to the society, and who can really spare some part of their time apart from their professional lives, who can consistently spend some part of time in these activities. So we'll tell them all the guidance, we'll tell them what are the different things they need to consider before forming a group, and what are the small projects that they can initially start off in order to slowly start involving the projects. Because starting off with so many projects at the same time will not really help. It has to be sustainable. In order to make it sustainable, they need to start off with one or two projects, take one or two things at a time, and then once they build a big group, then they can really expand it to other cities in those chapters. So we actually give them all the guidance that they need, what are the different things they need to follow, how to connect across different chapters within the US and also in India and other parts of the world. We'll share all the best experiences, all the best practices that have been followed by the other chapters. Slowly we will help them to assimilate all this information in a systematic way, and that will help them to get started up with up and running. And we'll also introduce them to the members in the other chapters, the key members in the other chapters, so they can get in touch with them for any kind of guidance or help.
Okay.
And we also run the leadership trainings and the necessary trainings for the building the leadership within the new chapter. So as part of the this process, providing required resources for them, like conducting some programs, for example, healthy living, or it could be something a leadership program. So those kind of things, providing the right resources resources, connecting right people to the new chapter, and bringing up that chapter as a sustainable organization. So that is where we work together.
And the other important thing is we actually started off many chapters for the past few years, and we know the challenges in starting up a local chapter. I mean, initially everyone has the kind of questions about what is the right way to start, how to actually motivate the people to actually join our mission and all. So what are the challenges that we have faced in the past and how we overcame those challenges? It's really, once we share all those things with the new folks who are really interested to start a local chapter, it will help them. They need not have to again go through the same struggle of motivating and passing on the mission. They will know what are the techniques, or to inspire people how to pass on our message in a clear-cut fashion without complicating the things. So once we make any new member understand what is our mission, what are we trying to do, and what is our approach to achieve this mission, it really becomes easy for the other person to start themselves actively involved in these activities. So that is something where we can really help any new people who would like to start a local chapter.
Okay, so the young generation of millennials who are actually empathizing with the imbalance in the society, you have lots of information, lots of experiences that Manavata can share and bring you up to speed, sharing the leadership practices. So all the listeners who are interested, please visit www.manavata.org, manavata.org, for any reference. And thank you, Srini and Mukund, for all the time and details that you have shared with us on NRA Summit.
Thank you, Shravani and Srikanth.
On behalf of Manavata, we would like to thank NRA Summit for their valuable time and taking this interview. And we're sure it will reach millions of people across the world and pass on this mission. Thanks, Shravani.
Yes,
It's a pleasure to host you.
It's a great help. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.